The Steam Lunar New Year sale has kicked off and it's running from January 27th until February 3rd. In my previous video, I showed you the strategy game gems for the sale. In this video, we're going to take a step back and look at the best deals overall for the Steam Lunar New Year sale, from AAA titles down to hidden gems. Let's begin. My first pick is actually a game that a lot of you will already know, but its discount and recent popularity I think make it a good buy right now. This is Rust, a survival, multiplayer open world game that really flourished after and during its early access period, where communities have popped up online. This thing has an incredible multiplayer community behind it. Whether you're playing with a couple of friends or diving into an unknown world, I think you'll really enjoy your time in Rust. It does also have a lot of DLC if you're interested in it, but honestly, picking up the base game at 33% off is a pretty good buy, and while you don't have to have friends to play this, it is helpful if you do, but in my experience, it's one of the best community survival multiplayer games to just jump into as a solo player and have a good time. Speaking of having a good time, Disco Elysium won an incredible number of awards for very good reason. This is a story-rich RPG where choices really matter. It is an incredible game. It won massive awards, all sorts of nominations for Game of the Year, Adventure of a Lifetime, and everything in between. It's received overwhelmingly positive reviews for that same reason, and I have to admit, this one is a rare example actually that I haven't played on this list, but I have watched it in half and in full, and I've really enjoyed consuming it, and I think that you will too. In fact, I might even go and grab this one after this video. That is how sure I am that Disco Elysium is a fantastic buy. The third game on my list also actually featured in my strategy games video. That is, of course, my bread and butter. It's Crusader Kings 3. Crusader Kings 3, developed by Paradox Interactive, a studio known for 4X grand strategy games, doesn't disappoint. It is a strategy game, it's an RPG game, it's a medieval simulation, and it's got a huge amount of history and storytelling buried inside of it. Create a family, a dynasty, a character, and take over the European and Eastern world. You can do it how or wherever you like, with intrigue and love and moider and scheming and plotting and controlling your political council, all while waging war across the land. Crusader Kings 3 is a wonderful but deep and rich and complex historical strategy experience. It would be unfair to mention Disco and not mention Hades. Overwhelmingly positive for another good reason. And at 35% off, this is actually a pretty good discount for Hades. You might find it cheaper every now and again on, weirdly, the Nintendo Switch store, I think. But outside of that, this is a great price for picking up the PC version of Hades. This was Game of the Year, and again, huge nominations for this action roguelike indie and RPG game, where essentially you will defy the gods to go around and around in this roguelike dungeon crawler, building yourself up, building your skills up as you go through. It is difficult, it is challenging, and it's incredibly rewarding. Hades is a fantastic action roguelike game. I can't recommend it enough. Even if you're not normally interested in this genre, you'll probably enjoy Hades, particularly at 35% off. And the winner of the Outstanding Story Rich Game Award for the Steam Awards 2021 goes to What? Really? Cyberpunk. It's an open world action RPG, sci-fi. You've probably heard of it because of its god-awful launch. I haven't played it again since launch, but I thought I would include it on this list as an honorable award-winning mention. Let's be real, this game had a rough as guts launch. It may not even still be performing to what you would like out of it. But at 50% off, I thought I would include it here because if you're interested in trying it, and it has been updated and reworked, and apparently it is performing a lot better now, and at least an uptake in recent reviews suggests the same, it could be a good time to pick up Cyberpunk at 50% off, all I'm saying. My cheap hidden gem of this sale is Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. 75% off. This wonderful game, stealth, open-world action game, out of Konami Digital Entertainment, is a really enjoyable experience. I actually picked this up for around this price, around 75% off, a couple of years ago. Not my normal genre. I really enjoyed it. It is a bit silly. It is a bit broken in places. It is the classic Metal Gear Solid chuck a parachute on top of my cardboard box and fly away. But man, it is good, and it does it very well. I think you'll enjoy this. It's 75% off. It's around $7 US. You can't go wrong. Speaking of not being able to go wrong, I said it before and I'll say it again. Again, this one was included in my strategy and simulation games suggestions for very good reason. During the Steam Lunar sale, you should buy City Skylines if you don't already have it. It is literally about $6. It's the best city builder, simulation, city management, and planning game of all time, I might actually say, and for good reason, I think. I reviewed it 6 years ago when it first came out, and my review this year would be no different. It is a fantastic game. It continues to receive development and DLC packs and incredible community modding support behind it. Do try out City Skylines. For a couple of bucks, you won't regret it. If you don't have EA's Game Pass, you might want to grab The Sims 4 if you somehow don't already have it. Again, this is a game that a lot of people already have, and considering it's included in the Xbox Game Pass for PC and EA Play, you might already have access to it. But if you don't, just quickly, it's important to note, I won't bother describing it because it's fairly self-explanatory at this point. It is 88% off. You can grab it for a couple of dollars on Steam. More than a couple of dollars, but at a fairly tasty 50% off discount. It's Red Dead Redemption 2. This puppy released in 2019 to fairly positive reviews, although, of course, a difficult and troubled delayed PC launch. It is an open-world adventure story-rich game out of Rockstar, the same developers broadly behind Grand Theft Auto 5, the same studios. System, anyway. It's complicated. There's a few rock stars. What you need to know is Red Dead Redemption 2 is a wonderful open-world game. If you like cowboys or horses, westerns or trains, look no further than Red Dead Redemption 2. This puppy, Horizon Zero Dawn, the complete edition, by the way, is of course a PlayStation game. It arrived to Steam a couple of years ago, to PC, apparently. I've only played the PlayStation version, but this open-world, single-player only adventure game is absolutely fantastic. It's an RPG like no other that sets you across a future Earth that is taken over and ruled by machines that roam the world like dinosaurs, really, as you can see in many cases. Some will attack you, some will not. Either way, it's a wonderful open world with a fantastic story and an incredible RPG system underneath it. Horizon Zero Dawn is fantastic. Don't let the PlayStation label put you off. This one is worth your time. And at 50% off, could be probably the best time to pick it up. Speaking of a good time to pick things up, the overwhelmingly positive The Witcher 3 is many years old now, but if you've just been getting into it from watching the Netflix show The Witcher, you might want to pick this up. It will follow the story of The Witcher Season 2 in particular, but also some of the backstory from Season 1 very closely. There are, of course, Witcher books and 2 previous Witcher games, but this one is really the one to go for. Don't worry about doing 1 and 2 first. You can absolutely just jump into 3 and do it, even if you haven't watched the Netflix series or read the books. This game is fantastic as a standalone, open-world, story-rich RPG, and it really does earn the title atmospheric, because the atmosphere that The Witcher 3 creates is unlike any other. It's a fantastic story. It maybe doesn't quite rival the likes of Skyrim in terms of overall best RPGs of all time, but it's right up there, in my opinion, in a very close category second below there. I think at 80% off for about $10 US. Again, not to sound like a broken record, but you can't go wrong with this one either. You can't go wrong with any of them. Jeez, this is going to cost me a lot of money. And last but not least, to round out the list, it's not Humankind game, which is 25% off. It's actually Sid Meier's Civilization 6. The grand poobah of strategy games. I've covered this many times. I play it on my channel and live stream it on Twitch, so I won't bother to tell you too much about it. But the juicy detail and what you'd likely like to know is that this turn-based strategy game, largely single player with multiplayer in it as well, the grandfather of 4X titles, is 85% off. I'd recommend you pick up the base game if you've never played games like this before. If you have played games like this before, then you should grab the Anthology bundle if you have the cash, or at the very least, pick up the Gathering Storm DLC. It's received mixed reviews by itself, but I think it really complements the game. Either that or the New Frontier Pass, if you'd like to grab that. Thank you very much for watching my Steam Lunar New Year overall game recommendations and sales. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.